Get your Universal Monsters horror figures at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description. Horror, kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. It's Steven here, and welcome to my first review of NECA's Universal Monsters Horror Ultimate Action Figures. Whew, that's a mouthful. Today we're going to be taking a look at the color version of the Ultimate Frankenstein monster. I'm going to be alternating between the two of them because, we all know him as Frankenstein. If you want to get technical, it's Dr. Frankenstein, it's monster. Anyway, we have the brain of a criminal in here, okay? And, here, it's supposed to be a horror icon, the monster in front of us. We all know him, we all love him. But quite frankly, I think NECA not only was able to provide us with a rather nice and accurate Frankenstein monster, but also a Frankenstein clown. Yeah, they were able to really hit the mark on the horror aspect, but they also provide us with something that is so comedic. Quite frankly, I love it. What am I talking about? Let's take a look to see whether or not Frankie here is worth adding into your collection. I think NECA hit the mark on this one while also missing it by a long shot, because this is a fantastic comedy figure as well. What do I mean? Well, we'll obviously explore that, but this Frankenstein comes in two different flavors, black and white or in yellow. This one, we have yellow. What flavor is yellow? I don't know. You'll have to decide that on yourself. So without any further ado, let's take a look to see whether or not the colored version of Frankenstein is worth adding into your collection. Interestingly enough, if you're a fan of Frankenstein, whether you're going to be super duper hardcore and you're going to be memorizing how every single person throughout the history of Frankenstein media has died, or if you're just kind of casual, Halloween, cool, Frankenstein, you're probably going to think that Frankenstein, when in color, is associated with green. Okay, one of the posters depicts a sort of yellow jaundice Frankenstein. And interestingly enough, I was not really aware of that prior to picking this figure up. And NECA held true to that. And I got to be honest, NECA actually did a rather good job here. Now, it's not going to be super duper over the top, let's say super pinpoint precision with the paint apps, but I do think that we have to give credit where credit is due. There will be a review of the black and white version, and it's not simply just a matter of taking the color version and turning it black and white for that, or vice versa. They actually added a lot of small details here which are not found on the black and white version. We'll take a look at that during its own time, don't worry folks. And the paint applications here do look great. So NECA has been using the dot matrix, the face printing technology that many companies have been using these days, and it is true here on Frankenstein. But what's really cool is that it's not only true for that, but it looks like some of the other paint apps, most notably some of the blood that we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of the figure, is going to be applied with that same method. So kudos to NECA on that. What I will say is a bit of a drawback, and this is true for the alternate heads as well, is that it seems like the eyes are caught underneath his eyelids. So he kind of almost is always looking up instead of straight ahead, and for all of the head sculpts that we get, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to really keep in mind when you're going to pose Frankenstein. Throughout the rest of the figure, we still have those nice paint applications. We do have that band that is going to be on Frankenstein's left forearm. Very nice paint applications. He got his nails did. One of them is actually missing a little bit of paint. I do think that's just because of the way that it was applied. Maybe it wasn't aligned correctly, but c'est la vie. Frankenstein is going to be rocking a black suit with just a little bit of brown for dry brushing. Otherwise, rather simple figure, but quite frankly, I think NECA did a good job. Frankenstein's articulation is pretty good, considering that for some reason lately, NECA has gone backwards in the number of joints that they've been putting on their figures. What am I talking about? Well, it's not necessarily a terrible thing when it's functional, but we have a surprise here with Frankenstein's monster. So what am I talking about? Well, how about I just show you instead? So head is going to be on a ball joint. It's going to be a double axis or a barbell style. So you can see how it plugs in. Very good, very nice. Okay, so Frankenstein can move his head around like that. All right, but you've already kind of seen something that I'm tipping my hand towards. So this is the first time I've ever seen this on a NECA figure, or at least usable on a NECA figure. Watch. The actual neck can move now. That plugs into the torso. So that's very good. I do like that. I think that's fantastic. NECA needs to continue this moving forward because that's just good engineering right there. Don't have much else to say other than that. Now, shoulders, swivel hinge. So they do swivel and then hinge out. So he can T-pose. His arms do kind of look a little chicken wingy. Not the good kind, the bad kind. But something to keep in mind is that the way that his jacket is sculpted, it's kind of a V. So when you go to raise his arms, it doesn't really block the articulation that much, but it's kind of difficult to get him to put his arms directly straight up. Just something to keep in mind. We do have a single elbow hinge. So NECA has been doing double elbow hinges, and their newest Jason, I don't know, maybe it'll get released when we go back to Ritualistic Sacrifice. I don't know. That has double elbow hinges, but this one only has single. And that's the extent of the range of movement. We do have swivels where the elbows plug into the bicep, so that's our effective bicep swivel. But I do think Frankenstein could have benefited from the double elbow hinge, but it is what it is. All the hands for the wrists, they plug in on pegs, and then they swivel around with hinge movement. There you go. Torso movement. We got a ball joint at the waist, so we can spin Frankenstein around. Everything looks good. The hips. New style for NECA. It's going to be the ball jointed hips, where everyone's kind of moving away from that. NECA dove headfirst into it, and overall, we do have better range of movement. Not as many quality control issues, it seems. So that's about as far forward and back, and that's far out to the side. And as you can see there, we do actually have thigh swivels. So you can see, yeah, single knee hinge, but we do get some decent range of movement there, which is okay. Again, don't know why they're not doing doubles anymore. I guess we can maybe talk about that. But for the ankles, we do have hinges, so we can point his foot all the way down like that, up about that far. But we do get ankle rockers like that. You can actually, if you really want to fudge it, you can spin his foot all the way around. So I think the reason why NECA is moving away from the double hinges is that for some figures, in specific movie, Casey Jones and April O'Neil, they didn't really know how to engineer them, so they kind of went, you're out of here. It's a matter of getting them to look good and engineering them properly. That's how you get them to work. But for Frankenstein here, for all his wants and needs, I think he's pretty good. I think this one moves just fine. Accessories time, and this is yeah, this is kind of where I talk about this being a bit of a comedy figure. So Frankenstein is going to come with alternate hand parts. He's going to come with the chains, the shackles, the handcuffs, whatever you would prefer to call it. He's going to come with 2 different types of flowers to hold, and he's going to come with 2 alternate head sculpts. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. The first one, so Frankenstein's monster got a hold of the good stuff. Yeah. All right. The other one is this guy is apparently trying to be scary, and that's what I guess this is attempting to be. However, it also kind of looks like maybe the monster here is trying to not let out a wet fart. So try again, maybe. Yeah. So ultimately, the monster does come off being more of a comedy figure. I think if you're not using the sort of stoic, dead face, but it is what it is. So Frankenstein also is going to come with 2 extra sets of hands. One set will be splayed hands, which you can use with the shackles to make him look a bit more intimidating. Shackles, easy enough. You pop hands off, slide the cuffs over the forearms, pop the hands back in. Bada bing, bada boom, you're good to go. Now for the flower parts, we are going to get a left and right hand part. So this way Frankenstein can go ahead and hold 1 flower or 2 flowers, because we get 1 flower and then we get another flower, but it's 2 of them. Okay, makes sense. Good. All right. I will say, keep in mind that the paint apps for the flowers can be a bit off. I have seen some of them where literally that little yellow dot for the center has been way off onto the petals. Make sure you're checking just to be safe. So that's it for accessories, and I do have to say we're rather light here, nothing super duper over the top, but if you do have some other figures, you can definitely get this party animal to liven up a bit. Yep, yes you can. All right, so with that being said, we'll go ahead and slide right on over to a size comparison where, yes, Frankenstein's monster, I've alternated between them. I mean, you know who this is. Definitely tall. Definitely tall, is definitely going to look nice with some of your other horror figures on your shelf. Quite frankly, I think this is a very nice purchase if you are a fan of NECA horror, or if you are looking for just a big, tall Frankenstein on your shelf. Now, like I promised, here is a side-by-side comparison with the black and white version. And like I said, it's not just a simple, let's take one figure, put paint on it, and make it look more colorful, or just do black and white. They actually added paint application changes to the overall scheme, so this way things are enhanced differently, some things are taken away. Yeah, you're going to notice a lot of different details between the two figures, so check out the review for that one when it goes up. Don't worry, it will be up soon, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Generally speaking, I think this figure is an overall win. If you use the neutral face, you do get the scary monster, which is good. If you use the other faces, I guess if you're a bit more dramatic with the poses, you can kind of get the one face to sort of be scary and screaming, but yeah, it's more so a comedy figure, I think. I really do like this, but I do think that NECA did need to include maybe some more accessories. I hear there's an accessory set that's coming soon, but it is what it is. They really did need to nail down the head sculpts with this one and give us a really, really menacing face, but it just wasn't really there. Articulation is top notch overall for the price point. You can't beat this one. So if you are on the fence, do you want to get the black and white? Do you want to get the color? Personally, I like the color more, and it's a good figure. Overall, it's worth a purchase. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.